The sleek silhouette of the Airbus A350 gleamed under the hangar's artificial lights, a testament to human ingenuity and ambition. Engineers buzzed around the aircraft like bees attending their queen, their movements precise, their focus unwavering. Amid the orchestrated chaos stood Elise Fournier, the lead designer, her sharp eyes scanning the plane she had spent years reimagining. This wasn't just an aircraft, it was her statement to the world, her challenge to Boeing, and her legacy. Elise had always been fascinated by flight. As a child, she'd watch planes take off from the small airport near her home in Toulouse, imagining the places they'd go and the lives they'd touch. Now, decades later, she stood at the epicenter of an industry-defining moment. The A350, already celebrated for its efficiency and elegance, had been transformed. This upgrade wasn't just technical, it was revolutionary. Lighter materials, whisper-quiet engines, and a cabin designed to make passengers forget they were 35,000 feet above the Earth. But what truly set it apart was the integration of AI, a leap so significant it bordered on science fiction. The aircraft could predict maintenance needs, adjust flight patterns in real time, and even enhance fuel efficiency mid-flight. "Looks like your masterpiece is ready," said Julian, her longtime colleague and closest confidant. His voice broke her reverie, and she turned to see his familiar grin, a mixture of pride and mischief. Julian had been with her since the project's inception, a steady presence through sleepless nights and countless setbacks. He handed her a tablet, displaying the final test results. Everything was green. "Perfect." "Ready doesn't feel like the right word," Elise replied, her voice steady but tinged with an undercurrent of anxiety. "This is the easy part. The hard part begins when we roll it out." Julian nodded, his grin fading. "Boeing's watching us like hawks. You know they'll counter this with everything they've got." "They can try," Elise said, her confidence returning. "But they're playing catch-up. We've set a new standard." The unveiling was scheduled for tomorrow. The aviation world had been buzzing with rumors about Airbus's secretive project, and the anticipation was palpable. Elise could almost hear the murmurs from industry insiders, the speculation about what this upgrade entailed. Boeing, she knew, was desperate for details. Their own flagship, the 777X, had been plagued with delays and technical issues. The A350's upgrade was not just a product, it was a declaration of Airbus's dominance. As the day turned to evening, Elise retreated to her office, a quiet sanctuary filled with blueprints, mock-ups, and a solitary model of the A350 sitting on her desk. She traced her fingers over its smooth surface, remembering the countless decisions that had brought her to this moment. Every detail, from the materials to the layout, had been scrutinized, debated, and optimized. This wasn't just about building a better plane, it was about reshaping the future of aviation. Her thoughts were interrupted by a soft knock at the door. It was Pierre Laurent, the CEO of Airbus. His imposing figure filled the doorway, but his expression was one of camaraderie. "Elise," he began, stepping inside. "I wanted to see you before tomorrow." She gestured for him to sit, and he took the chair across from her desk. "You've done something remarkable," he said, his tone warm but serious. "This isn't just a milestone for Airbus, it's a turning point for the entire industry." Elise appreciated the sentiment, but she knew there was more. Pierre was a visionary, but he was also a pragmatist. "You're worried about Boeing," she said, cutting to the chase. "I'd be a fool not to be," Pierre admitted. "They're already mobilizing. We've heard whispers of an aggressive marketing campaign and potential partnerships to undercut us." "Let them," Elise said firmly. "They're reacting to us, not the other way around. That's the difference." Pierre smiled, a glint of admiration in his eyes. "That's why I trust you. But remember, this is a marathon, not a sprint. Tomorrow is just the beginning." The next morning dawned crisp and clear, the kind of day pilots dreamed of. The unveiling was set on the tarmac, with the A350 positioned like a jewel on display. Industry leaders, journalists, and representatives from major airlines had gathered, their anticipation almost tangible. Elise stood off to the side, her heart pounding as Pierre took the stage to deliver his opening remarks. He spoke eloquently about Airbus's commitment to innovation, sustainability, and excellence, his words drawing nods and applause from the crowd. Then came the moment. The hangar doors opened, and the A350 emerged into the sunlight. A collective gasp rippled through the audience. Cameras clicked furiously as Pierre highlighted the plane's features, each revelation met with murmurs of approval. Elise watched from the sidelines, her chest swelling with pride. This was her vision come to life. But amidst the celebration, a shadow lingered. Elise spotted a familiar face in the crowd, James Harrington, Boeing's head of development. He was a formidable opponent, known for his ruthlessness and cunning. His expression was unreadable, but Elise could feel his eyes dissecting every detail of the A350, searching for vulnerabilities. Later, as the event wound down and the crowd began to disperse, Elise found herself face to face with James. He extended a hand, his grip firm and his smile sharp. "Congratulations," he said, his tone cordial but layered with subtext. "It's impressive, I'll admit. But you know this is just the opening act." "Of course," Elise replied smoothly. "But it's a tough act to follow." James chuckled, a sound devoid of humor. "We'll see about that. Enjoy your moment, Elise. It won't last forever." As he walked away, Elise felt a surge of determination. She knew the path ahead would be fraught with challenges, but she also knew that Airbus had the upper hand. The A350 wasn't just an aircraft, it was a statement, a promise of what was possible when ambition met ingenuity. The sun dipped lower in the sky, casting a golden glow over the tarmac. Elise lingered for a moment, taking it all in. Tomorrow, the real battle would begin. But for now, she allowed herself a rare moment of satisfaction. They had done it. They had changed the game. James Harrington sat in his Seattle office, the faint hum of the city a distant reminder of the world outside. The news of Airbus's A350 upgrade had hit Boeing like a thunderclap. While the public marveled at the advancements unveiled just yesterday, James and his team were in damage control mode. The A350 upgrade wasn't just a technical marvel, it was a direct threat to Boeing's long-haul dominance. He stared at the reports on his desk, each one detailing the A350's innovations in excruciating detail: improved fuel efficiency, AI-driven maintenance, unprecedented passenger comfort. It wasn't just an upgrade, it was a revolution. James knew this wasn't a challenge Boeing could ignore. The 777X, their long-haul flagship, was still bogged down by delays and technical issues. Worse, their 787 Dreamliner, once heralded as a game-changer, was starting to show its age. Boeing's reputation had taken a hit in recent years, and the A350's upgrade felt like Airbus twisting the knife. As James mulled over his options, he couldn't shake the memory of Elise Fournier's calm, confident demeanor at the unveiling. She had looked untouchable, as though she knew Boeing was on its back foot. "What's our next move?" asked Sarah Kent, Boeing's chief strategist. She had slipped into James's office without him noticing, a tablet tucked under her arm. Her sharp gaze matched his own, but there was a hint of unease in her voice. James leaned back in his chair, exhaling slowly. "We need to respond decisively," he said. "The A350 upgrade isn't just a better plane, it's a direct attack on our market share. If we don't act, they'll run us over." Sarah placed the tablet on his desk, displaying a comparative analysis of the A350 and the 777X. The numbers were damning. The A350 outperformed the 777X in almost every category: range, efficiency, passenger satisfaction. The only advantage Boeing held was in its production capacity, but even that gap was narrowing as Airbus ramped up its facilities. "We've got two options," Sarah continued. "Accelerate the 777X program or pivot to something entirely new. Either way, we're looking at massive costs and significant risks." James nodded. "We don't have the luxury of time. Airbus caught us flat-footed, and they know it. But rushing the 777X isn't the answer. If we push it out before it's ready, we risk another PR disaster." Sarah frowned, her expression tightening. "Then what's the play?" "We innovate," James said firmly. "Something bold, something unexpected." Airbus played their hand. "Now it's our turn." The following weeks were a flurry of activity at Boeing's headquarters. Engineers, designers, and executives worked around the clock, brainstorming ideas and assessing feasibility. The pressure was immense. Airlines were already reaching out to Airbus, eager to secure the upgraded A350. Boeing's sales team was fielding tough questions from customers who wanted to know what the company planned to do in response. James attended every meeting, his presence a constant reminder of the stakes. He pushed his team relentlessly, demanding nothing less than excellence. But beneath his determination lay a growing sense of frustration. Airbus had outmaneuvered them, and it stung. The A350 wasn't just a better plane, it was a symbol of Airbus's ascendancy. One night, as James reviewed yet another report, he received an email from an old contact in Toulouse. The message was brief, but its contents stopped him cold. Rumor had it Airbus was already planning their next move, a smaller, ultra-efficient model designed to dominate the mid-market segment. If true, it meant Boeing was facing a two-front war. James slammed his fist against the desk, startling Sarah, who had entered the room unnoticed. "They're not just trying to win," he said, his voice low but furious. "They're trying to bury us." Sarah sat across from him, her expression unreadable. "Then we need to think bigger," she said. "This isn't just about planes anymore. It's about perception, trust, and vision. Boeing's brand has taken a hit, and we need to remind the world who we are." James leaned forward, his eyes narrowing. "You're suggesting a full-scale reinvention?" "Exactly," Sarah replied. "It's risky, but so is doing nothing. If we're going to fight Airbus, we need to show the industry, and the world, that Boeing is still a leader, not a follower." The two of them spent the next several hours hashing out a strategy. It wasn't just about planes, it was about storytelling, about reshaping Boeing's narrative. They would highlight their commitment to sustainability, their history of innovation, their partnerships with airlines around the globe. And, most importantly, they would promise something new, something that would make the A350 look like yesterday's news. But even as the plan took shape, James couldn't shake the feeling that they were fighting an uphill battle. Airbus had momentum, and momentum was hard to stop. Elise Fournier's face flashed in his mind, her calm confidence a stark contrast to the chaos he was managing. She had built something extraordinary, and now it was his job to prove that Boeing could do the same, or better. The first step was clear: regain the trust of their airline partners. James and Sarah spearheaded a global tour, meeting with CEOs and decision-makers to reassure them of Boeing's capabilities. They promised transparency, reliability, and innovation. It was a hard sell, especially with the A350 upgrade fresh in everyone's minds. But slowly, the tide began to turn. A few key airlines pledged their support, giving Boeing a much-needed boost. Back in Toulouse, Elise was watching these developments closely. She had expected Boeing to push back, but their aggressive response surprised her. Still, she wasn't worried. The A350 was a masterpiece, and she knew it. What she didn't know was how far Boeing was willing to go to regain its footing. The tension between the two giants was palpable, the stakes higher than ever. Airbus had drawn first blood, but the battle was far from over. James knew this. So did Elise. What neither of them knew was how this conflict would reshape the aviation industry, and their lives, in ways they could never have anticipated.